How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of That Mill podcast, edition number 9 of the 22-23 season. Joining myself, Omer. You've got to my right-hand side, Mr. Joe Zampa. Hello, mate.
Hiya, how you doing? You all right?
Very well, thank you, mate. Not too bad.
Good.
Completing the trio, we've got Chris joining us. How you doing, mate? You good?
Hello, mate. Good evening. Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. One win, one loss, and another loss in the middle for Millwall in the Cup. I mean, it's a bit up and down, but aside from that, it's classic Millwall, right, Chris?
Yes, mate. Full of ups and downs, I think. Bipolar Millwall, I like to call it. But look, it's important for us to not get too high when we win and not to get too low when we lose. It's 2 games. We're not really going to know where we are in terms of benchmarking probably till about 10 to a dozen games in. So roll on the weekend.
That's it. We're on the weekend indeed. I think what we'll do in today's show, we're going to talk a bit about the last couple of games and the general consensus and mood. And then we'll talk about Saturday going into another home game, hopefully 3 points for Millwall against Coventry City. And then we'll do a bit about transfers at the end as well. Obviously been linked with a few players and see, we've been linked with a couple of players in the last couple of weeks, but hopefully we can get some more transfers over the line as well. So we'll give our opinions on them too as well. So we'll go straight into the show. If you're new around here, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and let's crack on with part number 1. All right, first part of the show. I did say we'll just talk a bit about our general moods. I think, Chris, I came to you already and asked you about, our bipolar Millwall. I think me and Mickey had a couple of shows last year called Bipolar Millwall. And I think, Joe, is that the kind of general consensus from you too, mate? I mean, a bit chalk and cheese, weren't it, the last week or so?
Yeah, I mean, in contrast to the Stoke game, it's a complete turnaround, isn't it? I mean, we're all singing about how great we are and how we're going to get promoted. And we talk about how great our bench was and the strength and depth we had of players available to us. And then suddenly we're playing Sheffield United. It's all doom and gloom. We're not going to get promoted. We ain't got enough players. We need players in. And it's a real shame. It probably didn't help much with the Cambridge result. But like Chris said earlier, still early. Got a few more games for us to kind of get back into the thick of it. And hopefully over the next sort of two or three matches, we'll probably get a better idea of where our season's going to head towards. And starting with Saturday, of course, against Coventry.
I hadn't really, I don't think I've done a show since the Cambridge game, but I've been to all 3 games. And I went into the game against Cambridge with real kind of hope and optimism after that good 2-0 win over Stoke. And I was like, right, let's try and win this 4-5-0 tonight, lads. Have that real kind of confidence feeling. And that feeling went within 30 seconds when Bradshaw was running through on goal on the right-hand side and has an aimless shot from about 20 yards out on the right side of the box. Goes flying over the bar, flying over the stand, and then he falls to the ground and stands up holding his groin. And it was at that exact second where I'm like, right, this is brought back down to earth, the proper Millwall way. Like I was like, right, that's it now. He tries to sprint up the pitch about 20 yards and he stops and he hits the ground. I'm like, right, that's it. So I think we was brought back down to earth really that day, weren't we, Chris? And that's kind of just that's Millwall reminding you, don't get too far ahead of yourself when it comes to this football club.
Yeah, exactly, mate. You hit the nail on the head. I think, if I'm being honest, I don't really care that we went out the cup. I don't really care that we lost 1-0 to a League One side. A lot of people seem to think Cambridge are League Two. By the way, they're not. They're a League One side, and they're not a bad outfit. It's, I guess, the repercussions from that game of the injuries, like you talked about Bradshaw, the Honeyman sending off. Although a lot of people saying, "Oh, we really missed Honeyman against Sheffield United," but he played 1 game for us, so let's not sort of say how much we miss him. When in reality, we don't really know too much about what he brings. I think, again, it's really difficult to work out whether or not we were really, really, really bad against Sheffield United, and of course, there were certain mistakes that were made that were unforgivable, or they were just a very, very, very good team. And again, we won't know until we're sort of a little bit later on in the season. But let's just remind ourselves, they've got Sander Berger, who is one of, if not the best player in the league, in my opinion. NDIE, quality player. The fella they signed at right centre back, who I think was their man of the match. I'm not even going to begin to pronounce his name, but he looked very useful as well. So it's the kind of raw emotion Saturday night for me was a little bit like, oh no, what's going on here? But actually, when you take a little bit of time to process it, you then sort of turn a corner and you really start looking forward to Saturday.
That's it. I think I'm not gonna lie. 35 minutes in, 40 minutes in, there's a penalty. I don't even stay upstairs to watch the penalty. I'll go straight to the bar at that point. I was like 2-0 down. I'm like, there's a penalty. I was like, I'm going downstairs. Just go get a beer. And then Bart turns out to save it, which is obviously great. But I think that first half, Joe, I think you said you tried to grab bits of it because obviously you couldn't get up there, mate. But I just felt like we gave him too much respect at the same time on Saturday against Sheffield United. Obviously, as Chris said, they've got loads of good players in there. And Sander Berg is like, if he wasn't for his injury last season and he had a bit more pace, he'd probably be in the Premier League. You know, he's a top player. I just felt like we gave him too much respect on Saturday. And obviously, he didn't get off to a good start. And that was kind of all she wrote, I suppose, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, really, isn't it? I mean, we didn't get off to a great start. We weren't playing the way we play against Stoke. There was no real energy in our midfield. Obviously, I know Honeyman's only played one game for us, but already he kind of showed us what he's about, and it kind of inspires and lifts the rest of the team, because when he's pressing and chasing players, they all kind of follow suit a little bit. And looking at the game, it seemed like Sheffield United did to us what we did to Stoke. You know, we looked very flat. So did Stoke at the time we played against them. They were winning all the 50-50s. They were everywhere, all over us, swarming us to win the ball back off. That's what we did against Stoke. So it's a tough one. I think it's a bit of both, really. So our performance was not good at all. But Sheffield United are quite clearly a good side. Seemed very, very comfortable on the ball, very, very confident. And once they kind of go a goal ahead, of course, their tails are up and they're ready to kind of go full throttle on us. And thanks to Bart's save, it could have been a lot worse, couldn't it?
Definitely. I think I've got the team nailed on, apart from the fact Leonard was missing out through tonsillitis. And like I thought, right, we're going to kind of pack the midfield, kind of sit deep and hope for a counter attack. But I felt like at times on Saturday we saw the problem we've got when we have someone like Bennett and Afobe up front, Chris, where we've got no outlet. Like there's no one to go to. If you're leaving just them two up front, like you're playing balls over the top. Afobe didn't really look too interesting on Saturday for me, but he never looks interesting in the first place. So I can't really give him criticism for that. And I know a lot of people said that online about him too, but it's like, when have you ever seen Afobe interested in a game? Like, especially when it's, you know, we don't have a lot of the ball. It's like, it's to be expected from him. But I think we saw on Saturday, like, we need something different up top. And that's, I think, 100% for sure, in my opinion.
100%. I think we'll come on to sort of transfer rumours and things towards the end of the show. But we need, for me, someone, probably a player that in most recent years, probably Lee Gregory is probably the most similar to what I think we need, which is someone who can run the channels, but also can win those headers, can hold the ball up, can bring other players into play, because that is not Bennett and Afobe's strength. Bradshaw, actually, for someone not exactly big, is not too bad at it, but we need like a bit of a mobile, powerful target man. I'm not saying Gregory was that. I'm just saying he was probably the most similar to it in recent years. And that was evident, because when you're playing a team like Sheffield United at full of quality that are going to have lots of the ball, you need that outlet. Otherwise, you just come straight back. And we saw that a lot on Saturday. So, but it is about perspective. You know, I've seen a lot of tweets from Sheffield United fans, and you know, it's we're sitting here thinking, you know, we were terrible, we were rubbish, we made loads of mistakes, it could have been loads more. A lot of Sheffield United fans are thinking we've just beaten a very good team 2-0 and we need to be really happy with that. So it really does, depends on what kind of side of the coin you're looking at things. But Joe, I think what changes would you make given the squad we've got for Saturday? You know, what sort of, would you make any changes to that starting 11?
I mean, straight away, Honeyman's back, isn't he? Is it just a one-game suspension he served?
He's back, yeah, he's back.
Yeah, if anything, I think that's going to make a huge difference immediately. And you like to think he'll probably go into that number 10 role. The casualty midfield is who would miss out of Shackleton, Mitchell and Saville, because we all agree that Saville played really well against Sheffield United last week. I would like to see Saville and Mitchell, maybe, and then Honeyman ahead of them. Again, in the attacking options, we're a little bit limited at the moment. I think you've got to start with Bennett again and Afobe, with the option of Bury coming on. I'd like to sort of see Bury playing on the shoulder a bit more. in the forward front, one of the front two places, maybe on the left side. So let's say he starts with Bennett and then Afobe, maybe sort of 60, 70 minutes in, take Bennett off, put Bury wide left in that kind of forward attacking position. Obviously keep Honeyman in number 10, and then you got the opportunity to use Bury's pace, play on the shoulder of the defender, and hopefully counter-attack and use his pace to kind of get him behind the defence. I think that was lacking in the last game, and that might be something we can do. But as for the defensive areas, there's lots of talk about Malone not quite playing to his potential, as we know how well he can play. So there's an option there. You kind of mix it up a little bit, maybe put Murray Wallace left wing back. We've seen Cresswell can play the left side of that back three. Mm-hmm. Maybe bring Hutch back in on the right side, Cooper in the middle. So if there were any changes, I would probably say maybe bring Hutch in if he's fit. Honeyman comes in, and then maybe Shackleton and Malone lose out and go onto the bench. Just kind of mix it and shake up a little bit compared to how it was the last game.
I think I agree with you there. I think for last kind of thought from Saturday, I agree with you about the Saville shout, because I don't think he's a number 10 though, but I think he had a lot of the ball and done well with it. And there's at times where he almost threaded a pass through in the second half that sticks in the memory as well. Yeah. And he made an effort, I think, and that was I think all the players made an effort, but you could tell Saville was quite keen to make an impression, I felt like, as well in the game. But I feel like with a lot of people criticised Creswell on Saturday, which is obviously like everyone's kind of gone with the whole hero to zero kind of tag on him. I don't think he was helped a lot by Cooper on Saturday though, chaps. Like I thought he was really poor. I think he didn't get off to a good start. Like, we had a lot of the ball in the first 5-10 minutes after the start of the game, and then that foul in the build up was spoke about a lot for the first goal, and then just kind of that was all she wrote from there. But I think it'd be interesting to see if he brings Hutch back in. And Chris, do you agree with Joe there? Like maybe moving Malone out of the side, or how would you go about it if he was going to try and fit Hutch back in this side?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't argue against what Joe said. I'd happily take that. I think if I was to look at it purely on Saturday and there had to be a casualty, it would be Cooper. If I'm honest, I thought Cooper was really poor. Yes, it was a foul for the first goal, but he's 6'5", 6'6", an absolute tank. He's got to do better than that. He's got to be stronger. The tackle that gave away the penalty was ridiculous. I don't know what he was doing, and there was a couple of times as well where he needlessly gave the ball away. So I thought he was poor, and I don't know. I'm not Malone's biggest fan, as you boys will know, but I do think he gives us a slightly more attacking option, which I think we will need, especially at home game. So I'm half tempted to actually take Cooper out to show that he is droppable, and bring Hutch back in. Obviously, you've got a leader back in the side and leave Malone where he is. But I wouldn't argue against the other way as well. But for me, I agree Honeyman comes back in. And I think just about Shackleton should be the casualty.
Is there an element? I agree also that I want to get Hutch back in the side, because I feel like we missed his leadership, especially at Bramwell Lane. But is there an element of maybe we're not overreacting? But is there a case of like, why break it when it's just a one-off game? Do we kind of trust the team to claw themselves back out of that poor performance last weekend? I mean, obviously Honeyman, I think we all say Cup's going to come back in, but I think it's easy and tempting. Like we've all played Football Manager for example, you lose 3 or 4-0. You're going to make changes. Like, for some, this is, do you back the players to the character in the side to bounce back on Saturday, regardless of what teams played? Maybe, I don't know. What do you think, Joe, about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, striking can't hit twice, can it? The same place, and hopefully the same group of players, if they're picked to play, could very, very well go on to play really, really well against Coventry and do a good job. And the players we kind of picked out in a kind of negative sort of way might shine and do very, very well. But we're not just looking at one game. I think even if you consider the Stoke match, Malone wasn't that great. I think in pre-season he hasn't exactly been that prolific or that good going forward. His distribution's been a little bit poor. He kind of gives the ball away a few times. He's not really creating a lot of attacking options for us. So if there was any changes to be made, I don't feel that's a major worry for us if we took him out and put Murray there. And like Chris said, we can then bring Hutch in potentially, and like yourself say that with a bit more kind of captaincy, if you like, someone who's going to kind of marshal the defence a little bit. Yeah, I mean, Cooper, again, I feel a bit sorry for him. I mean, he's had some good games. He doesn't often have bad games. I just feel that the player that he was up against Sheffield United was a very kind of fast, small, agile type of striker. I think he struggles with that. He's almost chasing shadows there, isn't he? Whereas when he's playing against, taller, stronger target, maybe like, he seems to come back very, very well against them and defends quite well against them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I wouldn't be too hasty to kind of take Cooper out in a minute. But certainly, I think Malone could do with a rest. And I really like Malone. But I think he could do with a couple of weeks out just to kind of freshen things up a little bit.
Should we talk a bit about Coventry? I mean, obviously, they've only played one game this season, and they couldn't play last weekend. Are they playing in the cup? Are they meant to play tonight or tomorrow or something? I saw because it got moved to Burton. I can't remember when the game's going to get played, but obviously their preparation coming into Saturday is skewed nonetheless, and a bit of kind of unrest there. And no Callum O'Hare either, which for me is a godsend, Chris. I think he's out with a hamstring injury. Like, he's always the one to look out for there. And I think Guy Corres has been linked with a move to Everton today. I saw their striker. So it's not the most kind of preparation-based idealness for them, I suppose you could say.
No, absolutely. I hope that Victor Gorkaresh, or however you pronounce it, he's not in the starting lineup because, as you say, he's been linked with Everton. I think Middlesbrough have made a bit of an audacious bid for him because they've got a load of cash as well following the sales of Tavernier and Spence. So we should get an understrength Coventry side, but let's be honest, we're not at full strength either, given the injuries that we have for Fleming and Bradshaw. So they play good football, Coventry. They knock the ball about a lot. I seem to remember, I don't know if it was last season at home where they'd done us quite comfortably. I can't remember if it was last season or season before. They got some other useful players across the pitch. Ben Sheaf's a good central midfielder. They got Dabo down the right-hand side, who annoys me that we haven't signed him because he's a local lad. They've got some good players. They're not going to be. It's not going to be easy. But I think watching them against Sunderland, it shows that they are vulnerable and that we can get at them. But they're bringing a lot of fans as well. I think I've seen that they've got the top and bottom tier, and they've sold like almost 2,000 tickets, which is surprising. Yeah. So
they're currently losing 4-1 to Bristol City today as well. So they are playing right now. They're losing 4-1 to Bristol City. So, and like I was saying, there's a bit of unrest there, I suppose. So it could be, I don't know, it could be a good time to play them or not. It's double edged, like you're saying there, Chris. I suppose with the crowd as well.
I think it's a really key. We've got a few games coming up against teams, and I think it will really determine some of these teams' season. Mm-hmm. So we've got Coventry, obviously, there's a bit of unrest around the players and the pitch. We've got Swansea, who have had a really poor start to the season, and there's actually certain calls for Russell Martin to go, to say that his football is, well, that's pretty on the eye. It causes too many issues. You've got Norwich that haven't had the best start to the season. So, the next 3 games are going to be, really interesting to see how we fare against these teams, because I feel like all of them are under a lot of pressure. But what sort of, not getting ahead of myself, but Joe, what sort of points tally do you think we should be looking for from the next 3 games?
What a question.
The thing is, nothing will surprise you. We could really struggle, draw, lose the next sort of 3 games. We can go on an unbeaten run, couldn't we? And draw and win them all as well. So it's very sort of difficult to sort of say. But you're right. I think if we're going to play either of these teams at the moment, now is probably a good time to play them. I think all the teams seem to be quite low on confidence. I don't know about you, but I always feel a bit kind of worried when we play Coventry. I think I'm a little bit sort of thinking reminiscence of the last time we played them at home, and they kind of smashed us, didn't they? They played really well, and they actually absolutely played us off the park, although we got a result at their ground, I think, from memory. So, I'm quite confident that we'll do all right against them on Saturday. But like I said, if they, come out and they do to us what Sheffield United did, I wouldn't be too surprised, because obviously they're a quality team. But again, confidence is key, and I think they struggled against Sunderland. They last week, week before, when they played them away. They drew 1-1, and I think Sunderland, to be fair, probably deserved to win that game. And again, they're losing tonight. Okay, it's a cup game, isn't it, tonight?
Yeah, it's can't go against Bristol City. They're losing tonight.
So we're already too much into that. They could be playing, they're under 23s or they're fringe players, which is what Rowett probably should have done against Cambridge. But I mean, it could go either way, can't it? And I know the thing is, I think we'll be surprised whichever way it goes.
You didn't give your point prediction, by the way, so we need to get your points tally definitely from you. But you keep referring to the time we get thrashed by them. I remember as well we lost 4-0 to them in 2015 when we first got relegated to League One. I don't know if you remember, Adam Armstrong scored like a chip over before from like 30 yards and was 3-0 down after 25 minutes. And that's the one that always sticks in memory for me too. And I think also,
did they have James Maddison that day as well?
They might have done. Actually, let me have a look for you because I've got the teams here.
I'm sure they did, because I remember seeing him and I was like, this kid is going to be he absolutely bossed the midfield. I'm sure it was Coventry he was at before he went to Norwich.
It's actually a really good team at the time, to be fair. It was Maddison and Armstrong up front, and then you got John Fleck in midfield, who played against us last Saturday for Sheffield United and went to play in the Premier League. So it's a solid team, to be fair. So I mean, that is your good knowledge, by the way. I always think of Armstrong that game, Chris, but I suppose Maddison playing there too, and look what he's gone on to do. So it's interesting. But come on, Joe, you're not getting away with it.
So what we're saying?
Chris asked a question.
Coventry, Swansea, and Norwich.
Yeah, Swansea away, Norwich away, and Coventry at home Saturday.
Okay. I'll try and let my heart warm my head here in this one, but I'm going to go for a home win against Coventry. I think we need it, and I think we'll get it with Honeyman back in the team again. I think we will probably draw against. Is it Swansea next after that? Sorry, or
Tuesday night against Swansea.
Yeah, and that's away, isn't it, as well? Again, I keep getting flashbacks when we played them last time, and then we played them at home towards the end of last season, and they played really well against us, didn't they?
You told me, we spoke about that game before, I'm sure, Joe, a couple of weeks ago, and you told me they didn't play us off the park. They had one chance all game. And then I said to you, there was 700 passes or something stupid. They didn't have that many passes.
I know, but they did pass the ball around the defensive line. They didn't really attack our area. I think on the counter-attack, they had a fast pace forward, didn't they? That caused a bit of trouble. But they didn't really... they didn't really create too many. What I was really frustrated is when they just kind of passed the ball around the defense.
I agree with you.
And it wasn't until Bert come on that we actually had someone who's actually going to press them and challenge them a little bit. But up until that point, it was embarrassing,
The days when we had pace in the team.
I know. God, what I do for Ollie Burt now, eh? But now I'm going to go for a home win against Coventry. I'm going to go for a loss against Swansea, and I think a draw against Norwich. So what's that? 4 points?
4 points.
One of each.
You know what? That's what frustrated me about Saturday, because I thought, hindsight's an amazing thing, but I thought Saturday was our winnable game out of the away games we've got for some reason. I was like, Sheffield United, hopefully nick a result there. And then you go, we'll probably get popped off the pitch against Swansea because they pass, and we don't keep up with that. Then we'll probably lose at Norwich because it's on TV. It's at Carrow Road. We never win at Carrow Road. And then we'll get beat quite comfortably by Vincent Kompany's Burnley. That was my logic to the away games this month. And then we'll win all our home games, though, so we'll be all right with that. But... yeah, I'll go with you. I'll go 4 points, but I think we'll get the point at Carrow Road as well, and we'll probably lose to Swansea. Yeah. I'm driving to Swansea. Don't ask me why, but I'm going to Swansea next Tuesday. So I know 4 hours each way. £32.50 for the ticket and all, but that's another story. Go on, Chris. What's your predictions for the next three, mate?
I was going to go one of each. To be honest. I think we'll beat Coventry. We'll get a point at Swansea after going behind. And I think Norwich would have found their mojo by the time we play them, and we'll get beaten quite comfortably. I'm not even going to talk about Burnley. But I think something that contributes to that is the congestion of the fixtures. To play away at Swansea on a Tuesday night, and then to go to Norwich, well, I don't even know what the mileage is between those two places, only 3 days later and play, I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Especially when one part of the UK to the other almost, didn't you? Like from west to east, didn't you? Yeah.
I don't know how
3
that's
games
been,
in 6 days as well, and also the heat wave as well. Like, well, the players will be shattered after Saturday, won't they? So there's more to it, right?
and
You've got to think, I
we've got
suppose.
a small, thin squad anyway. I mean, I have seen rumours today of us possibly asking for Swansea to be moved. I don't know how true they are. They're just on social media and stuff. So I think it'd be a wise decision, actually. I know it'd be a good time to play them. But if we don't get more bodies in and bodies that are fit and ready to go, then maybe it's an option for us. But yeah, I think I'd take 6 points, but head says probably one of each, and we're not before.
I think an interesting question though, like our season probably shouldn't be judged on the barometers of Sheffield United, Burnley, West Brom. Who else we're missing out on that list? Norwich. Like these 4 or 5 teams that are like going to be a cut above us this year. We're aiming for that last position, the best of the rest, aren't we? I suppose. So like you almost kind of think write these games off because, like, especially away from home, like Norwich will have too much for us against us, and Burnley will have too much for us against us. Like we always struggle in these sort of games, don't we, Chris? I mean, am I being a bit naive there? Obviously, you want to try and punch above your weight, but especially away from home where teams move the ball really quick, you go from one side to the other. Within 4 seconds, they'll free your defense and they're scoring. It's like it's hard to keep up with sometimes, especially when you've got players like Sanderberg, players that like Pookie up front for Norwich, and then you look at Burnley and they've still got Josh Brownhill in the side who's doing really well at Championship level, and then they've got Ashley Barnes up front. These are good players, ain't they? They're Premier League players almost. They are, in my opinion.
They are. And I agree. The only thing I would say is, Wigan went to Norwich and got a draw. I mean, they were winning, at the weekend. So it is doable. I do worry about our away form in general because, why is it that we can't perform? And all right, it's one away game this season. I'm not going to count Cambridge. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But if we look at the stark contrast from last season with all the fans back in the stadium, why is it that we can't perform away from home? Is it a Rowett problem and the way he sets up? The way he talks and the way he says he needs to address it would suggest that he doesn't. Well, the way it comes across is that to me, he doesn't actually change too much, but I could be wrong. Is it a mentality thing from the players that they can't deal with the pressure or get themselves up for these games? I don't know. But something needs to change because whilst I totally agree, the games away at Norwich, Sheffield United, Burnley, they're not games that we should be looking at as bankers to win, but we should be putting on better Millwall type performances with higher energy like we do at home.
I think it boils a little bit down to I think how we're drilled a little bit because we're in games to stay in games. Like we don't go into games to try and play teams off the park. It's either at home, it's up and at them, win set pieces, force the occasion, and force that ball over the line by sheer will determination. Where if you look at like someone like Nottingham Forest last year, they had a really just like a strong set of players that were well drilled and well coached and like had patterns of play. I couldn't tell you a Millwall pattern of play. A Millwall pattern of play is get out wide to the wing backs maybe and hope for the best. Like there's no pattern of play to Millwall at all. I don't think and that's probably a downside. But at the same time, we've got enough players to try and grind games out. I guess I don't know what you think, Joe. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, last season we saw him go out, sort of tinker with the tactics and the formations a bit, didn't we? I mean, he was very stuck on playing 5 at the back or 3 at the back, what you want to call it. But he kind of changed it from 2 midfield and then 3 up front, if you like, with the wide guys and 1 centre forward. And then afterwards, he kind of settled on, through injury, I think, he settled on 2 forwards with a number 10 behind. And it seemed to work. It kind of turned our season around almost, that new formation, new tactic. And I hate keep saying it, but that person's no longer there anymore. And I'm talking about here. And I just really hope we don't miss him too much. I mean, I watched him the other night for West Brom against I can't remember what it was now, but they drew 1-1 against someone.
Watford,
that was it. And I looked at him and I thought he looked so good.
Man of the match.
As much as you don't want to sort of like, him sort of struggle or do badly there. You want the best for him, of course you do, but you kind of want him to mess up a little bit. You want him to kind of like almost get, drafted out the team a little bit, get on the bench, and then we might be able to get him back again, who knows, but he looks good. The fans, I was reading the comments on Twitter afterwards and they absolutely loved him, talk about how great he was. And how they've been crying for someone like him who's a breath of fresh air. The ball he's been whipping in, into the box were fantastic. We've never had someone like play like that for a long time. And I'm watching him thinking, so you know what we can do with him right now, and I think he makes a big difference. He makes us tick. He made us, create stuff, whether it be in set pieces. He was a threat on a counter attack. And as much as we would like to think that we've got Fleming and Honeyman is going to come in and we're going to soon forget about him, I just don't think we can replace him. And my worry, my concern is, I've got no concern about us getting relegated this season. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think we're going to struggle this season because we just seem to lack this kind of, magical kind of person who's going to open up defences, create things, whether it be a cross or something or a shot. I don't know what it would be. But, hopefully we can sign one or two players that make a bit of a difference for us. But at the minute, I'm a little bit sort of deflated because, Fleming's injured. And we haven't really seen enough of Honeyman yet, but I'm hoping we'll be pleasantly surprised over the next sort of few games, hopefully.
I hope we will be. I do think we will be too. On Saturday in particular, I think our home form will be a banker. It has to be if we're going to do well this season. Before we move on to what we're looking for, what we're missing in the side, should we just do a quick prediction of what the score's going to be on Saturday? I'll go first. I'll go 1-0 Millwall. I think we'll score from a set play. Who gets it? I'm undecided, but that's what I'll go for. Joe, what do you reckon for Saturday, mate?
I was going to say 1-0 as well.
I think we'll just go over the line. I think it'll be dogged and we'll just do the job.
And normally I would probably say a game like that, I'd probably say like 2-1 or something. But I think given our defensive displays against Sheffield United, they're going to be working on this in training during the week. Cooper's going to know if he gets picked to play, he's going to have to play really, really well. Cresswell the same. He's had a bit of stick for his mistakes. So, of course, he's going to make sure that he's performing in front of the home fans and he gives it his all. He's going to be focused. So, I think defensively, we might be all right on Saturday. But I just still can't see where the goals are going to come from. So, it'll either be 0-0. I'm hoping we'll 1-0. But, we'll go 1-0.
Go on, Chris.
I'll go 2-1. I think they'll score. But I think we will come out with a bit of an up and at 'em approach, and we'll just get across the line. Back to the point there about thou who shall not be named. We don't have anyone that has got a moment of brilliance in them, which is what he had that carried us through certain periods of the last few seasons. We beat teams or will beat teams this season because we will outrun them, we will outfight them. It's not because we've got players that are better than them, in my opinion. If I look at even Coventry, let's take Coventry. Callum O'Hare, £10 million player, and that's a fact because that's what offers have been made for him. Gorkarez, £10 million player. We don't have those. And that's a team that arguably we finished above last season and we should be looking to do again this season. Blackburn got Barrett and Diaz. Everyone seems to have players that are, maybe Fleming in a year or two's time will be that player. But at the moment, we don't have that. We just have, honest, decent players at this level, but no standout stars. And I think that's why, unless we had a few more bodies, I'm with Joe. I think it could be, I predicted us to finish 10th. So that's kind of where I'm at. But what do we need then, boys, eh? What do we need?
Yeah, but on that point quickly, is it too simplistic to say Callum Hare looks a good player at Coventry side because they got a good coach in Mark Robbins that is good football and it caters to them. But if you look at our side, our best assets are our defenders because our defenders are made to look good on our side. I don't know, is that too simplistic way to put it? If you pick up Mason Bennett and he's put him in that Coventry side, is he worth more money in a season than he is when he plays for Millwall? I don't know.
The point you kind of mentioned there, and it kind of made me think just that second, is you look at Mark Robbins. Back in the day, I remember him as a striker for Man United, and he was a great goal scorer. Very very attacking minded, and that's obviously going to rub off on players. As probably Neil Harris did when he was coaching Millwall. We were very kind of attack minded, and he liked us scoring goals. But when you look at our coaching setup at the moment, Wright was a defender, Adam Barrett was a defender. I think we've got Robson at the moment as a defender. We don't seem to have many attacking coaches, do we? And that worries me a little bit. The fact that we haven't got anyone in the backroom staff that are attacking minded. someone who's going to help our attacking players. And I just can't see how they're going to benefit our players by the lack of attacking coaches in the backroom team. Whether that will change, whether they're allowed to bring any more coaches in, I'm not quite sure. But I think that's a bit of a problem for us because I think defensively we're pretty sound. Set pieces we're not too bad either. But attacking wise, I just think we're crying out for somebody that's going to come in there on a training pitch and just help our players and just help them be a bit more creative, a bit more attack minded.
What can you achieve when you've got 3 players up front on their own, though? Like, it's what I mean. Is it the way we play? Is it the formation? I think if you had Steve Cooper as manager of Millwall for a season, our players would look much easier on the eye than they do now. It's not me being critical of Gary Rowett, because Gary Rowett is a very pragmatic manager and he likes to stay in games and it suits us. If you put Chris Martin in charge of us for a season, how's he going to do? Chris Martin or Russell Martin? I don't know what his name is now. I can't remember. If you put Russell Martin, Chris Martin is from Coldplay, right? So not him, but yeah, that's it. That's it. If you put Liam Manning in charge from MK Dons, that's got him kind of singing a tune in League One in charge of Millwall, I do think they look better. But it's like careful what you wish for, I suppose, because Rowett suits us. It's.
Would we finish higher up in the table? We might look better. We may win games by more goals.
Good point.
Would we finish higher in the table? So this is why it's always this: be careful what you wish for.
100%.
Just to come back to your point on the defenders, Omar, I think we are blessed with some of the best defenders in the league. Genuinely, I do. However, other clubs can't think it, because if they did, they wouldn't still be here. That's my view of it.
That's true.
When have we turned down any big offers for Cooper? To my understanding, no, we haven't.
Just one. I think it was a couple of years, 3 years ago for Rangers. I think it was.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago. Supposedly Rangers were sniffing around him, but
that was rumours to be about 5 mil. I think, wasn't it, at the time? I think.
You see other Championship defenders go for 10, 15 million. So listen, I'm quite happy about that, because if they're going under the radar or maybe they're not as good as we think they are, whatever, I don't mind, because they're still here. I guess I'm just saying that if the stats and the proof was in the pudding, they may not be. So
I think Hutchinson's always been injury prone. Jake Cooper's 6'5" and can't kick a ball 4 feet going sideways. You know what I mean? So they've all got their drawbacks then when you look at them, really. I think Murray Wallace is the most complete out of all of them, but maybe you could say he's a bit short for a centre half. I don't know. It's an interesting debate to be had there. I think you asked the question anyway, Chris. Where do we need to improve? It's obviously everyone agrees up front. Joe, you done a poll for us, didn't you, mate? Or you done a poll online?
No, that was a waste of time. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I think we had 400 or 500 votes, and 99% of the vote was we all want attacking players. And one person voted for a defensive player. That was Gary Rowett.
Yeah, landslide, mate, landslide. And it's true, I suppose.
You didn't have keeper as an option.
No, I should have done, actually, just to kind of mix up a little bit. But
technically, we've got 5 contracted goalkeepers, 2 out on loan. So, I think we're all right there, right? I think.
Sorry.
Go on, mate. Go on, you go.
No, I was going to say, Joe, maybe you should do a poll that shows, established we need attackers. Thank you for that. But what type of attackers? Is it a nippy centre forward? Is it a big mobile target man? Is it a creative wide man? Because realistically, we all sit in here, and we'll talk about it in a minute, and we'll put out our wish list. But you know what the club's like. We'll get 1, maybe 2 tops. So if that's the case,
good idea. Yeah. You probably get one of them responding back saying we need a bit of everything, don't we? We need someone who's a target man who could play wide, who's fast, who can finish, do the whole shebang. That's probably what we're lacking at the moment. We're looking for someone who can do all of it, aren't we, really?
Well, a name from Germany today came out, Andreas Vogelsammer. That's as close as someone to get to that.
Do you know much about him? I'll be very surprised if you do. You know your stuff, but
can't pretend to do. I just know he plays for Union Berlin.
You can't plug this one, can you?
He plays for Union Berlin. I think he's in the 2nd division in Germany at the minute. So
he looks like a bit of a unit, though. He looks like a big lump, doesn't he? 6'3" or 4", I think he is. He's a bit tall.
I already was quite. Did he? I could be wrong.
Not from what I saw of him. He looks like he's a bit of a unit.
I found it interesting that Alex Jones news it then said, understand that Mill reports that Mill have completed the sign of Vogelshammer are wide of the mark. So it's like, I like the key terminology there. He says so he's not denying that we're interested, right?
Yeah.
But he's saying that it's wide of the mark that we've completed the signing for him. So I guess
there's still time.
there's still time that something can happen there. But I mean, Chris, I think it's glaringly obvious we need a forward. But any names that you can think of that you really want? I know you said a couple in the group chat recently, mate. So I'll give you the rein to say them now.
Yeah, I mean, if I could sign one player, it would be Keenan Davis.
I knew you'd say that.
He said it about 700 times in the chat.
Yeah, I know, all right.
I'm actually scared for him. If Keenan Davis signs for anybody else, he's going to be on suicidal watch for about 2 weeks. We have to hide the knives and talk him down off the ledge. Yeah,
that Keenan Davis podcast. No, he's one of the only players I've seen down a den in recent years that I've gone, this geezer looks good. Like he's what you talked about. He's strong, tall, powerful, rapid, can play centrally, can play wide. He scored 5 in 15 last year for Forest, so 1 in 3, but that wasn't his only sort of role. Do I think we've got a hoping, of getting him? No, I don't. I'd love to be wrong. I would imagine we're one of the clubs that are going in for him, but I would imagine that list is as long as, the other half's Christmas list. But he's the number one for me, and he kind of fits what I think we're lacking at the moment. But,
do you not think that would be a loan? Because he's obviously he's with contracted with Villa at the moment, isn't he? I'm not sure how long his contract is, but I'd be surprised for them to see him go. I mean, I know he had a loan at Forest last season, but surely they might want to go out one more time on loan. I don't know whether they just feel he's not quite good enough for the Premiership.
It would definitely be a loan. 100%. It would be a loan. He's there are a lot, again, just rumours, but there are rumours that Forest got quoted 15 million to buy him.
Really? Wow. Okay.
And the reason they haven't pursued that is because he's actually been injured over the summer and he's only just coming back to fitness. So, yeah, he'd be the one.
Do you know who's a free agent? Do you know who's a free agent and fits that mould as well? I want to put it out there. Tom Elliott. He was a bit quick. He was tall. He could put it about.
Good finish though.
He's a League One. I suppose Keenan Davis is the Championship version of what Tom Elliott was, maybe for League One, League Two level, without trying to put
bloody Sunday League, mate.
Yeah.
Where was he from? Was it from AFC Wimbledon? We got him from?
He scored a couple of goals against us Wimbledon and all. I think that was exactly why Harris was impressed by him and signed him. So
I remember talking to a guy at the kebab shop once when he signed for us, and he was distraught. He was like, "Oh, he's been our best player. Oh, you guys, you're so lucky to have him." I was getting quite excited until like halfway through the season. I'm thinking, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" Like, do you know what I mean?
This is the insight people tune in for. This is the insight.
Yeah.
Kebab shop talk. He did score against Leeds as well, Chris. You're right,
mate. He earned his he scored the I'm sure it was the 3-3 goal.
It was, yeah.
And then Jed scored the winner. What a day that was. But yeah.
Mention his name again, please.
Sorry.
I was going to say, you see how good it looks on the right hand side as well, lads. We overcomplicate things by playing in the middle. Leave him on the right to do his magic. But he's got people to put away the service now and all. That's the difference. So for God's sake, Jeds.
Daryl DK is he's another sort of that mould, isn't he, of big, powerful, strong, can put the ball away. It's that kind of player that I think we're missing that would work well for our system. Would I love a Michael Obafemi, someone who's rapid that plays on that? But I just don't think we play that kind of football, to be honest.
Do you know who would suit us? And there's a name that I don't want him, by the way, and I wouldn't want to touch him with a barge pole, but I just feel like we end up with him. Lyle Taylor. I could see us signing Lyle Taylor. I'll be honest. I could see it. I'm just putting it out there now. That would be the underwhelming signing we make. He's making up numbers at Nottingham Forest. They'll probably sign another striker. Exactly. They'll probably sign another striker. He'll get loaned out, and Millwall will go in for him. And that is a signing we'll make. I'm going to say it right now. I know it sounds like ridiculous to even think about. We'll sign Lyle Taylor on loan deadline day.
Would he want to sign for us? Didn't he?
He was a youth boy.
He got a bit of flack, didn't he, from us when we sort of played against them before, and
he used to came through our academy. He's a Lewisham boy.
I know a couple of lads that come through with him at the academy. None of them ever made it. And he hates Millwall because we let him go without giving him a go. And he apparently said that he would never, ever re-sign for Millwall.
I thought that, yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers on deadline day. I can see it. Because we also can't be choosers, and he won't be. It's like, we don't want you, and you don't want to come to us, but we need someone.
But if he does come, can you imagine that kind of bittersweet? What it would be like? Well, no, we won't be chanting his name. If they score, we might give a polite little clap. Like, you know.
Still
I just think we're going to struggle to find the name that we need, to be honest. I hope Keenan Davies is the name.
What
everyone says it.
What about the ex-Swansea, ex-Portsmouth guy we're linked up with? What's his name? Jamal Lowe?
Jamal Lowe, yeah.
Again, I know he's one that Chris fancies as well, doesn't he, from the past?
Well, it's not too hasty.
But no, I mean, I think he can be a good fit for us. Again, he's a bit pacey. He can run with the ball. He knows what back of the net is. He works hard. He could be a good fit for us, I think. And again, I think is he available at the moment? I don't know whether he's available on a free or not, but I think he's definitely available for transfer.
He's still at Bournemouth, yeah. So he's still there. They signed him start of last season, didn't they? I think so. Yeah, he's still around there. So I don't know. What about someone like Junior Stanislas is still on the books at Bournemouth? He came on the other day, ex-West Ham though, so I don't think we'd go there. But these are the sort of names when
free if you want to start throwing out like
I think we are scraping the barrel a bit. Hopefully something happens where a club signs someone and they don't need them anymore, and we can loan them on a cheap or something. That's realistically what's going to happen. That's why I don't see it kicking off now, more so towards the end of the window, where, like I said, Forest might flex their purse strings, or Villa might try and get someone and they want to loan Cameron Archer out on loan, who was at Preston last year. This is where that sort of stuff might happen.
Exactly. They may want to just release some players just to kind of create more space for wages, and you're right. This could be a good thing for us. We can leave it. It's a risky game, but if we can leave it sort of late as possible, we might be able to get a couple of gems, a couple of good steals.
Just got to sit tight, I think, haven't we, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want us to end up with someone like Ikpeazu or like a Jordan Hugill. They're players that are getting on the benches of Norwich and Borough. And
Sahor's still at West Brom.
Well, yeah.
He's still there, is he? Yeah. Is he? God.
I want us to make a bit of a statement signing. And I don't know how much money we got left.
We need to. I mean, whether we want to, I think we just need to. We need to have a big player. We can't just get a squad-type player to come in. We need somebody who's a first-team player. We need someone who's going to move Bradshaw and Afobe out of the way and say, no, I'm the main man here. I'm coming here to score goals, make a difference. We can't be bringing players in of an average level that's just going to act as a squad player for us, because our best team or our best forwards, I don't think it's quite enough of where we need to be. I mean, Bradshaw and Afobe done well last season, towards the end of last season, but if we want to be challenging for that top six, we do need someone who's going to score more often than these guys are, and challenge them for their position. What do you make of that Shane Lavery guy at Blackpool? Have you seen much of him in the past?
I can't. I think I remember seeing him last year play against us, and he's just busy. He was up front with Medine, and I think it was the game we lost 1-0 up there. And he's quite a nippy kind of forward. So I don't know where he fits into the plans. To be honest, I don't know. It's a hard one to nail down. I think we'll struggle to attract the names we want, to be honest with you. I do feel that a little bit. I mean, I was going to say I've not seen much of him, but I don't know if Chris, you have any Lavery, but also Harry McCurdy. Is that ship sailed, do we think, boys? Is that a name that's gone now, or is it risky to pick up a League Two forward now and throw him in at Championship level? What's the kind of deal we're thinking here?
I think there's Ryan Hardy, I think, as well at Plymouth is a name that's sort of been touted around and things. These are the gambles, though, aren't they? Like, to your point, that these are players that will be stepping up 2 leagues.
A bit like Lee Gregory, wasn't it, Chris, when he was at Halifax?
We have had success with these players. That's what I was sort of coming to. We have. McCurdy has got a bit of Millwall about him, should we say, in terms of the way he goes about playing football. He's apparently a bit of a nasty piece of work, which, I personally would prefer to, if possible, to bring in someone who is more established at this level, but maybe complement that with taking a bit of a gamble on one of the sort of League Two players. That would be my preference. So like a Keenan Davis and a Harry McCurdy. I mean, whether we end up with you two. And I also really like the look of Dembele at Bournemouth. So he's not a striker per se. He's probably someone that you'd play in a 10, or if you was to play 3 up top, they'd probably play wide. But he's a player that I know we've been interested in before, but we've always priced out of a move. He had a big money move to Bournemouth, and then he basically was a bit part player in the last year when he got promoted, and now he's been told he can look for another club. I just think there'll be other clubs with more money, that can afford these players. Hull have got loads of money. Middlesbrough have now got loads of money. Blackburn will end up selling Barrett and Diaz, and they'll have loads of money. So there'll be other clubs that I think will be, from a money perspective, ahead of us, which is going to be a challenge.
Dembele, I remember him playing a blind against us just before Christmas last year for Peterborough when they've done us 2-0 as well, and he looks the handful, like you say there. So, yeah, it'd be interesting who we end up with. I do think we'll have to sit tight and be patient. I know they said at the start of the week they want to get one in before Saturday. If they do that, I'll be surprised, to be honest. I think sit tight, wait for the domino effect to start off in the high divisions and see where we go with it, I suppose. Joe, is anything else you want to add, mate, before we end today's show?
Not really. I'm just, so looking forward to the game on Saturday. I don't know why, because obviously the players, we've got available to us at the moment, and after the performance of last week, there's not a lot to be too excited about. But I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that we're going to turn our performance around on Saturday. We're playing in front of a home crowd again. It's going to be a hot day, and you can just imagine the fans, getting on the players' back for not working hard enough and not pressing hard enough. In Jesus Christ, like 35, 36 degrees. So I hope they don't give them too much of a hard time. I hope they get behind them and support them. But I'm looking forward to seeing Honeyman back. I'm hoping he can galvanise the rest of them and kind of keep everyone kind of working hard and pressing like he does. And let's hope for a better performance and hopefully a result that we desperately need to kind of get us back in the right direction.
Fingers crossed, mate. Chris, anything you want to add, mate? Thanks for coming as always.
No, really enjoyed the chat again, gents. Really, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to Saturday. I've kind of sort of forgotten about the Sheffield United and sort of put that to the back of the mind. I think the next few weeks for the club are going to be crucial in terms of the business we go ahead with. And I'm confident that the club know the areas that we need to. I think that was evident from what came out of the fans forum. I wasn't there, but I've sort of heard bits and bobs. I think they know what we need to do, and it's just now about doing it. And I think if we can do the business we need, I think we'll be all right. But looking forward to the sweat fest on Saturday.
Can I just say one thing?
Of course, mate.
Guys, people listening, we're probably going to be at the Blue Bus before the game on Saturday. So if ever you fancy sort of coming over and say hello and having a chat and talking Mill with us, we're there. Don't be afraid to come over and say hello. Because to kind of get your views and have a quick chat with you, have a quick pint with you before the game starts. So looking forward to it. And even might have a German sausage. Hey, Omer.
That's it, mate. Joe's getting around it by the sounds of it as well. So definitely make sure of that.
I'll borrow Mickey's credit card.
That's it, the podcast credit card, which is yet to come into my hands yet, but Mickey's going to pay for it all, so that's all right. Guys, thanks for joining me, guys, and guys, thanks for listening as well. So that's all right, no worries, and we'll be back hopefully on Monday to talk about 3 points against Coventry. If you're new around here, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and check us out on our socials at That Mill Pods, and we'll be back on Monday. Cheers, guys.